Hi friends, welcome to Tech Harvesting. In today's video, we'll have a look at how we can add state management to our React application, and by this I mean global state management, which is really cool and really easy to do with this framework called Zustent. So this is a really simple library, and it is like something when compared to Redux, it's really simple to use, and it does not include something like a provider. If you use Redux before, you'll know, right? You'll have to wrap your entire application in a provider and all. Zustent is very simple. It does not need any of those. All you need is a simple hook that Zustent provides, and you'll be able to do everything in no seconds. So today we'll have a look at how we can use it to add global state management to our application. And if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, make sure to subscribe, and let's get started. So to start, I've got myself a React application created here, and let me just bring up the documentation for Zustent. Here it is. Okay, so this is the documentation page for Zustent. I'll leave a link to this in the description, and you can see here they're showing what we should do. So first we should install Zustent in our project. So that's pretty simple. We can just go ahead and use npm to do it. So let me just make it full screen, and let's do it. I'm using yarn rather than npm. So first let's do yarn add Zustent. Oops, let's just fix that typo. Zustent. Now, while that's happening, let me tell you a bit about Zustent. So Zustent is actually a really cool state management library. It's way easier to use when compared to something like Redux and all. There's not much boilerplate, which is something Redux is criticized for. It's having a lot of boilerplate code that we should write. This is really simple to use, and it does a lot of things. Maybe not everything, but a lot of things that Redux does, and it makes life much easier. And yeah, that's what I want to tell about Zustent. It's really cool, and let's have a look at how we can manage our global state with it. So you can see that it's a hook. So the store that we use, if you've used Redux before, you know there's a Redux store, right? Just like that, in Zustent also there's a store. And if you have not used Redux, it's okay, you don't have to think about that. I'm just telling you. And the store is a hook. So everything in Zustent is a hook, and everything can be done with it. So it's really simple. So as you can see, my project, everything is installed. Now let's go ahead and open up the app.tsx. I'm using TypeScript in here, so I can also show you how you can use Zustent with TypeScript. So I think a way to start this off is we get the I'm using wait here, so we're getting the count variable, and it's using the useState hook, right? So we can change it off to use Zustent. Instead of getting it from this hook, we can use it from our global state. So we can just remove that and remove this onClick function and remove this count. So it will show count is like that, and that's what we'll do for now. So let's have a go at the Zustent documentation, and let's see how we'll do that. So first we'll need to go ahead and create a hook called use store, which is where everything is done. So I'm going to create a new folder in here called Zustent. I'm going to create a new file there called store.ts. So I'm going to copy this and paste it right in here. So as you can see, this is what we're doing. We are going to import this create function from Zustent, and we're going to create this use store hook, which is where everything is going to be stored, and we're going to use the create function. So this create function returns a hook, and that's what this is. So this is all the default state that we want to have in our application. So for example, first we want to have a count of 0, and that can be used for managing the count in this file right here. So we'll be able to get the count from here, right here. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We can now export it from here actually. So we can export const use store equals create, like that. And then what we can do is we can do const count equals use store, or we can manually import it. That's better, I guess. So we're going to import use store from dot slash Justin slash store. So now when we do that, we're getting an object. So what we can do now is we can do state, and we can get state dot count. So we're taking the default state that's inside, and we're going to go inside the state and get the count. So now, as you can see, when we're using TypeScript, this is a problem that we get. We're not, because this default is taken as an object, just as an object, and we're not getting the types. So just for now, let's just ignore it, and we're going to add the types soon. So you can do @ts_ignore, and as you can see, it's ignored and it just shows up as any. So this count is there now. So if you want, we can go ahead and display the count right here. As you can see, if you were to use Redux, we will need to go ahead and add a wrapping around the app for giving a provider and everything. This is very simple. You just go ahead, create the hook, and directly access everything from there. So now if I want to go ahead and run the app, so I can do yarn dev, and it should open up. As you can see, let me open up in the browser, and as you can see, it shows count is 0, and that's because in our file the count is set to 0. If I were to set this to 5 by default, you can see count is 5. So now let's have a look at how we can click on this button and update it. So now you'll need to go ahead and add a function in here which can be used to increment the count. So I'm going to create a function called increment count, and in here, if you go onto the Justin documentation, it shows what we'll need to do. So this is going to be a simple function which does this. Let's copy that out and paste it in our code. And as you can see, now let's have a look at how we can do this. So we're using the set function, which is passed on from this create function. So when we're creating it, it gives us a set function, and with that set function we'll be able to mutate the state. So whatever is in our state, we'll be able to change it. So as you can see, we have a set as a function. We can take the state, which gives us the current state of the application, and then we can change what we want to change. So we want to change the count to state.count plus 1. So it takes in the current count and adds 1 to it. So for now, once again, let's ignore this since we don't have the types, so we can just go ahead and do ts_ignore. Now if you want to go ahead and increment the count, we can just do const increment count equals just like that, and change the count to increment count. Once again, I'm just copying down my ts_ignore. If you're using JavaScript, you don't need to do any of these things, just don't mind about those. I'm using TypeScript here, and that's why I'm having ts_ignore. So now we can go ahead, copy this increment count, and we can do it on click equals increment count. So now if we come back here, when we click, as you can see, the count is incrementing. So that's really simple. That's all you need to do this. If you want to do this in Redux, even with the Redux toolkit also, it would be a bit difficult, but this is really simple. No wrapping around, nothing. It's that simple. So now the last thing I want to show you is how you can add TypeScript. So let's do that right now. I'm gonna go here on our stored file, and we can create a type called state, and we can set it equal to a type over there, an empty type. So we can now go ahead and just give in all the fields. So we have a count field, that's a number. Then we have the increment count field, which is a function like that. So we can just copy that actually from what VS Code gives us and paste it in there. Now for giving the state type in our function, in our hook, we can just go ahead and give state like that. So now if you remove this ts_ignore, it should still work, as you can see, and it shows that count is a number. Now that's all you need to do. You just need to go ahead back to app.tsx and remove all these ts_ignores because we don't need them anymore. It will automatically work. So it's that simple to use Zustint, and I'm pretty sure that if you have used Redux before, you'll find this really simple. And yeah, that's the main features. You can obviously go in here and have a look at the recipes, and you can look at all these recipes for everything. As you can see, a lot of options that you can do with this. And yeah, so that was it for this video. I just wanted to show you how you can add global state management to your React application with Zustint. Thanks for watching, and if you found the video helpful, please like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye friends.